sounds better.
Sweet Thompson Creek.
Being the #1 selling new Toyota dealer in the Central Atlantic region is pretty awesome. But also being the region's #1 selling certified used Toyota dealer, that's just icing on the cake.
Coons Tyson's Toyota. We're gonna wow ya.
Tonight, the deadly ice storm. 16 states, dangerous and deadly collisions on the highway. Cars losing control from Colorado to Maine. The tornado in Houston and a major new storm moving in. Under arrest tonight, the wife now in custody. Her husband was the Pulse nightclub shooter who killed 49 people. She was already confronted with surveillance. 4 days until the inauguration, the war of words tonight between President-elect Donald Trump and civil rights hero Congressman John Lewis. What Lewis said just today, and Mr. Trump on another issue tonight, promising health care for everybody. The deadly attack at a popular tourist resort, Americans among the injured. The 747 slamming into a village, dozens killed. Authorities on the possible cause tonight. And on this Martin Luther King Jr. Day, the very personal recordings tonight of Coretta Scott King on her role and away from the spotlight, her one wish.
This is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on this Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and we have a lot to get to tonight. And we begin here with that major winter storm across more than a dozen states, coating highways in ice, turning driving deadly. This fiery crash after 2 trucks colliding on the ice on I-80 in Nebraska. The drivers did survive. Tonight, as you can see, up to an inch of ice in Oklahoma, bringing down tree limbs everywhere. And this evening, at least 3 reported tornadoes now. This one crossing I-45 near Houston. 16 states are on alert from Colorado to Maine. A difficult night ahead for millions traveling this holiday. ABC's Alex Perez is in Chicago tonight.
Tonight, from Colorado all the way to Maine, a resident on alert for a wintry mess. In Cedar Rapids, this truck sliding off the road and into an icy lake. Everyone's okay. The coating of ice snapping trees and knocking out power to thousands in several states on a weekend that saw danger and death on slick roads. One Kansas trooper narrowly escaping after swerving to avoid an out-of-control semi. Another truck on I-80 in Nebraska bursting into flames after crashing into another vehicle. Incredibly, both drivers survived. At least 9 killed on slippery roads since Friday. Many staying home, avoiding the fate of this Missouri delivery man.
Oh, are you okay?
Meanwhile, the southern side of the storm spawning tornadoes. A big rig driver spotting this funnel cloud in Houston. At least 30 homes and this skyscraper damaged by storms in Dallas, where overnight
The emergency alarm came on and said that we had to turn around.
hundreds of fans were forced to shelter in place after the Packers-Cowboys game.
And David, here in Chicago, drivers are dealing with rain and dense fog, and in parts of the upper Midwest, they're bracing for up to a 1/4 inch of ice tonight. David?
Yeah, we can see a very foggy night there in Chicago tonight. Alex, our thanks to you. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Ginger Z, who is tracking it all for us. Hi, Ginger.
Hey there, David. I was just doing a Facebook Live, and so many folks are telling me I'm having so much trouble on the roads. The ice is falling and accumulating, like Amanda in Fremont, Wisconsin. You can see right there on the radar. She couldn't get up her driveway, and a lot of people from Minnesota to Iowa, back to Michigan, and even into the Northeast are going to see this storm move east overnight. A lot of it's going to be rain and thunderstorms, or at least turn that way, like Detroit. But by the time we reach tomorrow afternoon and evening, I'm most concerned about areas like I-90, Boston West to Worcester and up into Manchester, New Hampshire, for example. Then Portland, Maine, who's had tough winter, going to have a freezing rain advisory that starts tomorrow morning, a tough commute again, and much more rain on the way, David.
Ginger Z with us tonight as well. Ginger, thank you. We turn now to another developing story today. The widow of the gunman who attacked the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, killing 49, is tonight under arrest by the FBI. Noor Salman was taken into custody by the FBI on charges of aiding and abetting and obstruction of justice. Her husband, Omar Mateen, pledged allegiance to ISIS, and she had already been confronted with surveillance showing her as her husband bought ammunition. Here's ABC's Lindsay Janis.
Tonight, the wife of alleged Orlando terrorist Omar Mateen is behind bars. Noor Salman, seen here with law enforcement the night after the attack, now charged with aiding and abetting and obstruction of justice in connection with her husband's massacre. The FBI arresting her near San Francisco, where she was living with her 6-year-old son. Investigators have been zeroing in on Salman for months, confronting her with surveillance video of her and Mateen buying ammunition. Sources telling ABC News that Salman told authorities Mateen left their home the night of the shooting with a bag of guns and that she begged him not to go. Tonight, lawyers for Salman, who claim Mateen physically abused her, say she had no foreknowledge nor could she predict what Omar Mateen intended to do that tragic night. And others have come to her defense. Her former special education teacher, who asked us not to identify her, saying Salman did not understand cause and effect.
I thought she is incapable of being an accomplice. Absolutely incapable.
David, Salman will make her first court appearance in Oakland, California tomorrow. She's expected to be extradited to Orlando, where she'll be prosecuted. David?
Lindsay Janis back on the case tonight. Lindsay, thank you. And we do have breaking news from Turkey tonight. An arrest in that New Year's Eve attack at a nightclub in Istanbul. Special operations forces capturing the suspect in a raid at a home. Police had distributed this video, a selfie the suspect had posted online. Surveillance video captured the attack that killed 39 people. ISIS has taken responsibility. Back here at home, just 4 days now until the inauguration. And tonight, President-elect Donald Trump, on this Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, finds himself in a war of words with civil rights hero Congressman John Lewis. The feud began after Congressman Lewis said he does not see Mr. Trump as a legitimate president, pointing to the Russian involvement, during the presidential campaign. The president-elect responding with a blistering series of tweets. Tonight, Congressman Lewis speaking again. And here's ABC's Tom Yamas.
Today, President-elect Trump dodging questions about his clash with civil rights icon, Representative John Lewis.
Mr. President-elect, do you stand by your tweet that Representative Lewis is all talk, no action?
The Georgia congressman igniting the feud with this statement.
I don't see this president-elect as a legitimate president. I think the Russians participated in helping this man get elected, and they helped destroy the candidacy of Hillary Clinton.
Trump firing back that Lewis should spend more time on fixing and helping his district, which is in horrible shape and crime infested, and that Lewis is all talk, no actions or results. Sad. But Lewis rose to prominence as a man of action in the fight for civil rights, alongside Martin Luther King Jr. His Georgia district is hardly the slum Trump described. On the front page of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, Atlanta to Trump, wrong. Now, 30 members of Congress, all Democrats, boycotting Trump's inauguration. Even some Republicans indicating Trump went too far. Senator Ben Sasse tweeting, "John Lewis and his talk have changed the world." Vice President-elect Mike Pence today visiting the Martin Luther King Memorial, defending Trump.
For someone to use his stature, to use terms like this is not a legitimate president, it's just deeply disappointing to me, and I hope he reconsiders it.
Today, Trump canceling plans to visit the Smithsonian Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington. Instead, meeting with Martin Luther King III at Trump Tower.
Were you offended by the president-elect's tweet that Representative Lewis is all talk and no action?
First of all, I think that in the heat of emotion, a lot of things get said on both sides. And I think that at some point, I am, as John Lewis and many others are, a bridge builder.
In Miami today, Congressman Lewis didn't address his battle with the president-elect, but he did make it clear he's not backing down.
When you see something that is not right, not fair, not just, you have a moral obligation to do something, to say something, and not be quiet.
Tom Yamas with us live tonight from Trump Tower. And Tom, Congressman Lewis getting support this evening from the First Lady?
David, Michelle Obama tweeting this. She posted, "Thinking of Dr. King and great leaders like Representative John Lewis who carry on his legacy. May their example be our call to action." David?
Tom Yamas with us tonight live. Tom, thanks. Meantime, this evening, Mr. Trump making perhaps his most sweeping promise yet as president-elect about his replacement for Obamacare, promising, quote, insurance for everybody. Here's ABC's Jonathan Carl.
President-elect Trump has made this much clear. He's got a big plan to replace Obamacare.
You're going to be very proud of what we put forth having to do with health care.
In today's Washington Post, Trump offered a bold promise. We're going to have insurance for everybody, adding there was a philosophy in some circles that if you can't pay for it, you don't get it. That's not going to happen with us. Trump pointed to this vow he made in the campaign.
I will not allow people to die on the sidewalks and the streets of our country if I'm president.
Trump said his plan is nearly done, formulated down to the final strokes, but still no specifics on how it works or how he'll pay for it. He does say he won't cut Medicare and that his administration will negotiate with drug companies to lower prices, something Republicans have not wanted to do. But today, Ryan insisted they're on the same page.
We're working on this all together. So we are working on this hand in glove with the administration, the new Trump administration.
Still, Trump's latest comments caught Republicans by surprise. Aides to Republican leaders in both the House and the Senate told ABC News they haven't seen Trump's plan. They've asked for clarification and have received none so far. As Trump prepares for the health care fight, he's still doing battle with the intelligence community, which he compared to Nazis and accused of leaking damaging information about him.
I think it's a disgrace. And I say that, and I say that. And that's something that Nazi Germany would have done and did do.
Now, outgoing CIA Director John Brennan is taking the rare step of publicly criticizing the president-elect.
But what I do find outrageous is equating an intelligence community with Nazi Germany. I do take great umbrage at that, and there is no basis for Mr. Trump to point fingers at the intelligence community.
So this feud with the intelligence community continues. Meantime, John, back to the president-elect's plans to replace Obamacare, promising health care for all. Any word when we can get specifics from the president-elect?
Trump says his plan will come out shortly after the Senate confirms his nominee to head the Department of Health and Human Services. But meanwhile, David, congressional Republicans are already working on a piecemeal approach to replacing Obamacare that looks a lot different than what President-elect Trump is talking about.
All right, John, we know you'll stay on it. John Carl, live in Washington. We turn now to a deadly attack at a popular tourist destination in Mexico, and in fact, Americans were among the injured. Here's ABC's Matt Gutman.
Gunfire blasted through the beats at this nightclub at a popular Mexican resort town early this morning. Authorities telling ABC News 5 people were killed and 15 injured. Among the casualties, at least 4 Americans. At first, some in the electronic music festival in Playa del Carmen didn't react. These people only start running when they see a body in the street. You hear them yell, "Run into the bathroom now." Gunfire triggering stampedes, people fleeing the club and down the street. Among those injured was American Heather Parham from Washington State, shot in the backside. Ignacio Valencia from Houston was shot in both arms.
I was just in shock. I just couldn't move.
His friend was also hit.
Her last words to me was, "I don't feel anything. I don't feel anything."
She died shortly thereafter. Mexican officials are still trying to unscramble what happened there, but initially they're telling us this is not terrorism and probably related to the drug trade. David.
All right, Matt Gutman with us. Thank you, Matt. And overseas tonight, a horrific scene in Kyrgyzstan after a Boeing 747 cargo plane plunged into homes there. The plane went down in thick fog just outside the airport. Half of the small village was destroyed in the crash. And the fire, the 4 crew members on board all killed and at least 31 more on the ground as well. Pilot error is suspected tonight. We do turn to a passing note this evening. Astronaut Gene Cernan, the last man to walk on the moon. As commander of the Apollo 17 mission in December 1972, he and fellow astronaut Jack Schmitt paid a 3-day visit, Cernan saying he didn't want it to end, though when it did, he said, quote, "We leave as we came, and God willing, as we shall return with peace and hope for all mankind." But he was the last to step on the moon. Gene Cernan was also a member of the ABC News family, a longtime consultant for us. He was 82. There is still much more ahead on World News Tonight this Monday. The deadly accident, the utility workers trapped underground, first responders struggling to pull them free, the invisible danger that put them at risk in the first place. Then the controversial takedown, you'll see it here, officers accused of excessive force there. The student suspected of stealing a car that he actually owned. You can hear him saying, "This is my vehicle." And then the monster gator crawling too close for comfort. Tourists stopped in their tracks. That's a big guy right there. We'll be right back.
I considered all my options with my doctor, who recommended once daily Wjla. Now I'm on the path to better blood sugar control. Wjla is a long-acting insulin from the makers of Lantus. It releases slowly, providing consistent insulin levels for a full 24 hours, proven full 24-hour blood sugar control, and significant A1C reduction. And along with Wjla, I'm eating better and moving more.
Wjla is a long-acting man-made insulin used to control high blood sugar in adults with diabetes. It contains 3 times as much insulin in 1 milliliter as standard insulin. Don't use Wjla to treat diabetic ketoacidosis during episodes of low blood sugar or if you're allergic to insulin. Allergic reaction may occur and may be life-threatening. Don't reuse needles or share insulin pens, even if the needle has been changed. The most common side effect is low blood sugar, which can be serious and life-threatening. It may cause shaking, sweating, fast heartbeat, and blurred vision. Check your blood sugar levels daily while using Wjla. Injection site reactions may occur. Don't change your dose or type of insulin without talking to your doctor. Tell your doctor if you take other medicines.